First of all, welcome to the Curve process. I think that this is an extremely valuable first step because I think when you take a look at your stakeholders and your resources, you're thinking through the building blocks of what the Curve process and responsive feedback is built on. And as far as trying to jump through to different sections first, I think we put a lot of thought into trying to build this Curve process so it builds upon, the steps build upon one another. And I'll try to refer to that as we go back from each step, and you'll kind of see the value in following it through. And so the reason that we put stakeholders and resources and this kind of thinking through all of these things first is it's really important to know where you stand, to know the types of stakeholders that will inevitably be involved in the Curve process. Because as we go through the process, we are looking for things that we might need to adapt or tweak or major changes that we might need to make. And as we do these things, even if we have some decision making within an organization, we can't make decisions on our own. We have funders that we might need to answer to. We have different organizational members and people who make decisions. They're going to have to be brought to the table. And so what we suggest is, as much as you can, identifying this whole range of stakeholders. Then that means everyone from funders to organization leaders down to the beneficiaries of your program, and figure out what their part is in this process and what can you learn from them. So we also talk about this kind of ongoing learning. So we want to bring everybody in together and just identify from the beginning who these people are, what their interests are and priorities are, because that'll help guide our process and help know how to talk to them and how to communicate with them as it comes times to share results and think about next steps. So that's a really important part of kind of building this rapport among stakeholders and understanding their needs and priorities from the get-go. And also, as we mentioned about resources, we're thinking through what kind of learning culture we have within our organization, the types of kind of buy-in and interests we'll have from along the process, but also just really those resources that we're going to use in these steps. And so, within the Curve process, we're thinking about the types of questions that we're going to ask and the types of evidence that we're going to gather from the field. So knowing up front, okay, well, we don't really have the capacity to collect a whole new survey right now, but what we are already doing is collecting a lot of process data, or we have a survey, maybe we could insert another question that could answer this question on a survey that we already have going. Having that kind of lay of the land of what you're doing now and what you have the capacity to do in addition is a really helpful first step, because as you get through this process, there's a lot of strategic thinking on how to build this into your program. So it's really valuable to kind of go ahead and have this in your mind. And this is where a worksheet and kind of putting it down on paper can really come in handy.